Alright, we are back with the Odes Dominator UTV build. So, as you guys know, I picked up this machine for $3,000. It ended up having a bad crank bearing and rod bearing. So, we replaced the whole crank last video. We pressed in the bearings, we got the cylinders, pistons installed, and then we found that the gear right here that controls the water pump and oil pump was completely chewed up. Not sure why, but it was shredded. And if that gear's shredded, that means that this gear for the oil pump and this gear for the water pump won't move. So obviously that's not good. But before we install that new gear, I'm gonna quick check out the oil pump. I'm just curious as to why that gear is shredded. But the plan for today is to get this whole engine back together in the machine and do the first start and hopefully first ride. So let's get going. We've got a lot of work left to do. All right, so here is the oil pump right here. Just want to see it rotate. Make sure it doesn't get stuck anywhere or bind up. Feels pretty smooth in there. We're gonna take that apart. Just quick check it out. Doesn't hurt before we put everything back together. We don't want the same mistake happening. Alright, get that clip off. That pin came out. Little washer. Alright, there's the oil pump. Looks really good. No metal pieces in there at all. Nothing that could bind up. So that's good. Just wanted to confirm before we put it back together. Make sure there's no metal in there. My guess is a little piece of metal got in there and it got stuck and then chewed up that gear. So that's great. That looks really good. Alright, just checking out the water pump gear here. Make sure that's spinning okay, not binding up. That looks good too. Alright, so the new gear right here going on. This has to line up the crank with the water pump and with the oil pump, and then it will slide right in. Just gonna put a little oil on that just for a little extra lubrication here. And this gear goes right in the crank right there like that. Alright, we got the gasket on, all greased up, ready to go. Let's get the cover on here. the engine covers are back on, everything's looking good. And now we have to focus on the heads here. So we want to change out the valve seals. So as you can see, the rockers don't come up, so we have to remove this plate and pull out these pins. We have to remember to Loctite that bolt when we reinstall it. Push these out. So we'll put these in there with the correct pin. That's going to be the left side one. Let's get this one out. Something fell. Little washer. These are fairly out in the open. Shouldn't be too bad to do. Clip likes to hold on there. Alright. Let's do it. Let's see what these valve seals look like. They shouldn't look too bad. This machine only has a couple thousand miles on it. So we're just doing this for reassurance, just so I don't have to tear it back down and replace them if it smokes. I hate doing the valves, but it needs to be done. So here we go. Let's see what this valve looks like here. Pretty clean. Looks pretty good. Let's see if it's magnetic here. Not magnetic, can't be lapped in. This is the exhaust valve. So this is the top of the head, and then I put the valve where I took it out from. And same with the rockers here, just so I know how they go back in. It's on there pretty good. So those were pretty tight on there. Let's see. Yeah, they're probably fine, but we'll replace them. Push this valve through. Looks pretty good. None of these are bent or anything, so we don't really have to worry about that. Alright, all the valves are out here, so let's get the valve seals put in. Got some new ones here. We'll oil them up. We're going to oil them up and then push them in. All right, valves for this cylinder are done. Let's get the valve seals installed on this one next. We'll skip ahead and we'll come back once this is done. Both heads are done here. We're about to install them, and I was trying to find top dead center to install the second head here, and there are 0 marks. It should have a 1 and a 2, and there are literally no marks that say 1 and 2 on here. All there is an arrow right there that's very eligible, but the 1 and 2 are non-existent. I don't see any marks at all. So I don't know if this is an aftermarket flywheel or what happened, because they should be engraved into this thing. And I don't see any signs of engraving. I don't see any marks whatsoever. So I don't know if I'm missing something or what, but yeah, they're not here. It's really, really weird. All right, so I looked it up, and it looks like possibly the older versions did not have marks on the flywheel. Figure that one out. But I looked up a picture of one on eBay here, and I'm kind of trying to find out where the marks are. You can see the 1 is right here, and I counted back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you can see the 2 lines up with the outside edge of that. So now we know how far the points are apart, so we can kind of measure that. I marked the flywheel and rotated the crank to where the piston is top dead center, and these marks actually show up on there. So you can see I put 2.1, that's the first mark, and that lines up perfectly. And then when I rotate it over to the piston number 1 on top dead center, it lines up perfectly with the 1.1 mark I made on here based on the measurement of the picture I saw. So we're gonna go off of that and just see if that works. Otherwise, I don't know what else to do. I guess we could order up a new flywheel, but the marks are pretty even. So I think we're gonna go off of that, and we'll see what happens. All right, cylinder number 2 head going on. We've got the timing mark lined up based on the picture. So we'll see if it's gonna work here. And then we'll try to time this thing up with the cam gear. All right, now we got our cam gear going in. So there's 2 lines down here, right there and right there. Those are gonna be parallel with the surface of the head. That looks pretty good. We just have to loosen up our tensioner. Our tensioner loosened up here. Let's get this cam gear back in. Close right there. It's 1 tooth off. Yeah, right there is perfect. Get a little Loctite. Okay, so we're going to be tensioning this thing up. The tensioning procedure, according to the manual, is going to be to back this out, the tensioner all the way, and you can see how that moves back and forth, moves this way and this way, the cam gear, see that? There's play in there. You want to tension this until it stops moving back and forth like that. So we'll screw it in until you can hear it. So you can still do it right there. It stopped. Then you want to go another 1/8 turn is what they said in the manual. So another little bit, And then we can install the spring. You can see there's a little notch in the spring. Turn it clockwise until you fit the notch in the tensioner. Should be able to feel it go in here, right there. And there's a notch right here that fits in there. And you can install that. So that's how you do the tensioner. The manual calls to rotate the engine 280 degrees counterclockwise from top dead center on piston number 2. So we're doing piston number 1 right now. So we did that, and now we're at the mark that I marked from the picture. It says 1.1 there, which is the correct mark. And the piston is at top dead center, so that lined up perfectly. And that's all we have to do. So now we can install the head. So here is head number 2 going on. Same thing with this one. We're going to remove the tensioner. Get it all tensioned up here. First, let's get the head on. Here are the head bolts. These get torqued down to 44 foot-pounds. We already torqued the other ones. Alright, same thing with this sprocket. Oh, that lined up perfectly. Oh, that's perfect. Wow. We might have this timing spot on. Alright, you can see 2 lines right here, perfectly parallel to the surface of the head. Now we're going to check the valves, make sure those are good. We'll rotate over the engine, make sure everything's smooth. So valves on this thing are supposed to be, let's see. Valves are 0.05 to 0.09 millimeters, exhausts are 0.1 to 0.15 millimeters. So let's check the intake first, 0.05. Get our feeler gauge here, 0.05 to 0.01 or 0.09. So we'll do 0.003 inches on the intake. Let's see where we're at. Oh, perfect. Slides right in. That one's good. And then the exhausts are 0.1 to 0.15, so 0.1. There's 0.1 right here. Perfect. And that's perfect as well. So all the valves are good. We got the whole engine basically back together. We got the transmission back on. You guys saw me in the first part take that out. Basically, just slide it back in place and get the shaft in. So it was not bad at all. Took me like 10 minutes to do that. And then we got the clutch cover on here. So let's get the valve covers on next. Alright, so engine is now complete, all put back together. Everything is timed up perfectly, valves are adjusted perfectly, everything rotates smoothly, everything is good to go. So, we are going to install this into the machine tomorrow. It's going to be a process getting everything hooked back up. And then I think we're going to put the clutch on tomorrow as well once it's in the machine. Alright, so I decided to put the clutch on. It might be easier to do it outside of the machine than when the engine's in the machine. So let's get this clutch on. There are really no diagrams showing what goes where, so it's kind of a guess here. Let's see. So this goes on first here. And you've got that guy. That's gonna squish on there like that. Alright, these were really compressed, so you had to compress the spring and then tighten these bolts up. So I'm just tightening this one right now. We got the belt on. It's not easy to do. Once this goes on, it's not coming back off. And the way to get the belt on the secondary, you have to compress it so that the belt is loose. So we took this threaded bolt right here and pushed that in, so it pushes the back plate out so that you can get the belt in. That's the only way you can get that belt in there like that. Otherwise it's really, really tight. So that seemed to work out pretty well. You can see the belt is now compressed here. This is also how you change the belt. It'll loosen that up so you can take that belt off. Alright, we got the clutch on, belt's on, everything's good to go, so we are ready to install this engine into the machine. Alright, might have to go in from the other way. Alright, engine is all in. This took me about 2 hours to get everything hooked up, back together, and now we can finally get some coolant in it. So we gotta get some coolant in, and then we've got to do a quick oil change on it. So we'll add some oil to it, add some coolant, and we'll attempt to start this thing up for the first time in like months. It's been a long time. topped off there. Looking good. Right, now the oil is down here. You can see the fill. It's right here. A little tricky to get to. Okay. Put that off to the side. We'll get a funnel in there. This thing takes 2 quarts. Alright, oil change is done. Let's try to fire this thing up. Alright, we've got oil in it, coolant in it. Let's see if she fires up here. Hopefully it does, hopefully it turns over. If not, I don't know what we're gonna do. She fired up. She runs pretty good. We're going to get a battery hooked up to it, not the jumper, so we can run it for a longer period of time. Got the new battery installed. Alright, running pretty good. We're gonna let this run for a bit, break in a little bit, and then we'll put everything back together and ride this thing. Alright, I'll put back together. All my tools and everything is in the back here. Let's see. Let's try to tilt this to the normal level. So down. There we go. Alright, it's all together. Let's see if it moves. Something did not sound good. Tried to go in reverse and it sounded like it was breaking. Making a really bad noise. The belt's slipping really bad. Now it's smoking out of here too. Oh boy. Yeah, it was not moving at all. Barely moved. Had power, just I think it was slipping. That is not good. We're going to tear it back down. See what's going on. Alright, this was what I opened it up to. So the clutch backed off on its own. I don't know why it did that. That's weird, but the belt was just sitting here like this. So that is really weird. So that should be all the way in. I don't know how the heck that could happen. We'll torque that back down. Yeah, this one's still, the primary's fine, so I don't know why the secondary came off. Alright, clutch is back on. Let's see if it works. Okay, clutch is grabbing now. That's working, but now it's shutting off randomly. So, I don't know what's going on with that. It just randomly shuts off. It's like if you're under a low RPM, it just shuts right off. some reason the solenoid's not working. But it fires right off. Pretty good. Alright, so it's super smooth, runs good now, does not shut off randomly like it was before. But now it looks like it's overheating. The lights do work too. Let's see if these lights work up here. Oh yeah. That's pretty cool. So everything's working except the solenoid. But let's see, it looks like it's overheating. You can see the temperature gauge right here flashing. I don't know why that key does not work. It must be the solenoid. But yeah, it looks like it's getting hot. So I'm guessing the wire for that. Oh, that one's missing. Guessing that's a ground. Maybe that's for the fan. We'll have to ground that out somewhere. But somewhere in here there's a temp gauge going into the radiator, I'm guessing. Let's see underneath the hood. Let's see if both lines are hot. Oh no. That line's not hot. Oh, that one's really hot. So it's not pumping coolant. Crap. I wonder if that gear gave out again. Yep. So it's not circulating coolant. That's why it's overheating. So this radiator line is just cold right here, and that should be hot. Huh. Not good. So until we can get that cooling system figured out, we are going to not ride it and just kind of park it here until we can get something figured out. That will be next video, unfortunately. It's getting dark. I've been working on this thing for 2 days trying to get the engine in, but I think it was worth it. You know, it runs good, drives good, it's just not cooling now. So if we can get the cooling system to work, I think this thing's gonna be a really nice machine. And this has the electric dump too, so Pretty cool. It's a little bit slow, but it's kind of a cool feature on this thing. You can see it's dumping. So this thing will be pretty nice once it's all done. A little radio in here as well. Not a bad machine. So next video we'll figure out that cooling system. It's either the water pump or that gear stripped out again, or really that's basically all it can be, because that gear spins the water pump unless like a pin came out, which would be bad. Leave suggestions down below what you guys think the problem is, and we'll try to fix this thing up next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and until next time, we are out.